Okay, so admittedly, watching other people write isn't exactly exciting. But doing the writing is exciting. In fact, introspective writing is the most powerful personal development tool that I know of. That might seem like a bold claim, right? Can just writing really make that much of a difference to your life? Well, let me tell you my perspective on this. I started introspective writing in 2006 and I have never stopped since. I literally have thousands upon thousands of pages of notes and journal entries and ideas written down in various documents and on Notion and on Google Drive and on paper and basically everywhere. And this isn't just a hobby or a time waste for me. This type of writing is the most important thing I have done to work on myself, to improve myself and improve my life. But here's the problem. While I have been doing this for a long time and I know for sure that it's made a huge difference in my life, I've never taught it to anyone else. So in order to find out if this is just a weird thing Shane does, or if this is a self-development tool that I can teach and that other people can benefit from, we did a 1-week experiment with the Icario team. For this experiment, I sent out a new writing prompt to the guys on the team every day for 1 week, and they could do the writing exercise in their own time. So now let's make this more practical. I've been talking about introspective writing here, and what do I mean by that? I think the best way to explain this is to just give you a couple of examples. So here is the first writing prompt that I sent out on day 1. Describe a day in your life 5 years from now. You want to think about what does an ideal but realistic outcome look like for you 5 years from now. So basically, what does your life look like 5 years from now if things go well for you, but not unrealistically well? So the idea with this writing is that you basically think about your goals, think about things you want to achieve, but don't escape into total fantasy land, right? If you just write, oh yes, I'm gonna be living in a spaceship and I'm gonna be a trillionaire and Jeff Bezos is gonna be my butler, that kind of thing, that's like too much. And it takes away from the actual usefulness of this writing exercise. Because what's useful is to write about what you want your life to look like if things go well for you 5 years from now, but in a way that can give you something to aim for, in a way that can make you say, yes, if I make the right choices, if I do the right things for the next 5 years, I could get there.
The writing prompt about where we'll be in the next 5 years was the one that had the most impact on me, because it was a look at the future that I'm currently able to mold and shape into what I want it to be. And it was fun to explore and play with that idea. And again, when I looked at that in 5 years from now, what I want my life to look like, I'm not that far away from that already.
Another thing to keep in mind while you're doing this writing exercise is to describe what your day looks like in detail. So kind of not from a zoomed out perspective, describing vaguely, stuff you have or what you feel like, but describe, you wake up, where are you? How do you feel? What do you do next? And from that perspective, from kind of an inside experience perspective, this is what I think makes this writing prompt as effective as possible. This really turns it into a useful exercise. Introspective writing can also be used to process difficult experiences, difficult emotions, and the second writing prompt is an example of how to do that. Think of something that happened, something that you did or something that happened to you that you find difficult, so something that's emotionally difficult. Maybe something that when you remember it makes you cringe, or something you regret. So think about that, and that can be in the distant past or in the recent past. And then do the following. First, describe exactly what happened. So describe the situation, what unfolded, as objectively as possible. Then describe the story you tell yourself about this. So maybe you did something you regret, and that is, the objective fact is you did that thing, but there's a story attached to it. Or maybe you tell yourself something like, I'm worthless because I did this. And you want to start describing and unpacking that story, because that story might have been running in your head ever since. Next, whatever unfolded and whatever happened, forgive yourself in writing. And that can be difficult, but writing is a great way to do that. Even if you struggle with it, you can sit there and write, I forgive myself. And you can maybe even write it repeatedly if it's something you initially struggle with. And finally, start questioning the story that you tell yourself about this. Start asking yourself, okay, this is the story I tell myself, but could something else also be true? And do I really believe this? The goal here is not to like radically rewrite your memory of this or your interpretation of it. It's just to kind of softly prod at it and open yourself up to the possibility that maybe a different story than the one you've been carrying around might also be true. A third example of one of the writing prompts we did. This one might seem a bit weird at first, but try it out. Here, in this exercise, you simply have a conversation with an older version of yourself. So imagine that you meet an older version of you from the future. And then you have a dialogue with this older version of you. And you literally write it out as a dialogue. So you write a line of maybe you asking a question, and then you write a line of your older self responding. And you just see where it goes. Like I said, it seems a bit weird, but if you kind of just surrender to this experience and see what happens, you might be surprised at what you find.
It started out being quite novel. I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. And then after a while, it genuinely felt like I was having a dialogue with some part of me that was wiser, that was more compassionate, that was more capable and humble and more powerful. And it was really quite unusual.
So these are some examples of writing exercises, and this is what I mean when I talk about introspective writing. This isn't exactly the same as journaling, and it's also not exactly the same as just like jotting down ideas. The main thing about introspective writing that makes it different from journaling, in my opinion, is that you use it specifically to kind of dig into things. You try to dig into emotionally difficult experiences, and you try to use it to question things that maybe you haven't questioned before, and you try to use it to create a better framework for how you want to live your life, a better way to think about what's going on, and a more deliberate way to make decisions.
I basically recommend everybody does this. At least give it a try, see if it works for you. Yeah.
If you've seen any of the other videos in Ikara, you'll know that I'm a big advocate of writing, this type of writing especially, and these type of prompts will really help anybody that isn't familiar with introspective writing yet to get into it.
I think if you would do it every now and then, it would be very valuable. I think doing it all the time, I don't know, I've not tested it, but I feel like doing like a few of those exercises every month or so is definitely something that will unearth things which are, in comparison to the time that you put in, very well worth the effort.
So in conclusion, even though we only did this for a short period, I think at least as kind of a pilot study, this shows there is a there, right? There's something to this introspective writing that other people can benefit from as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have a writing exercise, a question, a prompt that you like that has been beneficial to you, please let us know by leaving a comment. And of course, if you'd like to see more experiment videos like this one, make sure that you're subscribed, and we'll see you in the next one.